Thoughts and emotions are things that are invisible, yet they result in something tangible, what you create. Humans tend to focus only on which we can see, and this causes us to grow continually frustrated with ourselves and others for not having the levels of success that we really want. This is why it's important for you to spend more time understanding and shaping what you can't see before you can change what you can see. To truly appreciate the significance and magnificence of what you can do in your life, it's important that you understand the power of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is tens of thousands of times more powerful than your conscious brain. Your conscious mind can typically focus on one thing. Your subconscious mind can focus on thousands of things at one time. It can juggle all types of different issues. Now, the subconscious mind is really a problem solver. Its job is to solve problems that you give it. Now, that's good news and bad news, because it will solve any problem that you give it, for better or for worse. You see, although the subconscious mind is very powerful, it works 24/7, it's a horrible judge of character. It will act to solve negative things just as fast as it will act to solve positive things. So you have to be very careful what goes in there. If you start thinking negative things and dark things, from the media, from books, from whatever, your subconscious mind will gravitate towards those things. And it's so powerful at solving problems. So we got to give it positive things, positive assignments to focus on, because it's going to take action on whatever you give it. Have you ever had the experience where you're talking to a friend and you're trying to remember the name of a song? You just can't remember the name of that song, and so eventually you give up and you go back to work, whatever you're doing. You go back to your conscious activities. Well, your subconscious mind never gives up on trying to remember the name of that song. So it continues to work, and a couple of days later, you're walking down the sidewalk, all of a sudden, bam, the song hits you, right? Song remains the same, Led Zeppelin. It's because your subconscious mind never stopped trying to find the answer. It worked on it while consciously, you went on to different things. It's the same situation with problem solving. You have some problem, a financial problem, relationship problem, whatever it is you're trying to solve, and you just can't figure out the answer. So eventually you move on to going back what you were doing. Your subconscious mind never stops working on the problem. Next thing you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and bam, there's the answer to your problem, to your situation. That's how the subconscious mind works. We've got to make sure that we're giving the subconscious mind all these various instructions to work on the things that we want to work on. Imagine this scenario. Imagine that you're driving home from work. You leave your office and you're driving across town to your home. As you're driving across town, you have a cup of coffee, you're listening to the radio, maybe you're talking to a friend on the phone. You never really think about where you're going. And then all of a sudden, without thinking about it consciously, you pull up in your driveway. Have you ever had that happen? Most of us have. That's because the subconscious mind had taken over the directions to get you to your house. Consciously, you didn't have to think about it. But here's the thing. Ask yourself this question. The very first time you went to that house, the first time you saw it before you bought it or rented it, could you just drive there without thinking about it? Of course not. You had to have directions. You had to have a GPS. You had to have a realtor tell you where to go. But once you begin to make that trip back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, eventually the directions to your house became subconscious. It went to your subconscious mind. It became second nature. Once it becomes second nature, you can drive there without ever thinking about it. So the challenge here is to understand that if you've had that experience, and most of us have, then you can apply that to any area of your life. Let's say, for example, that you're at $50,000 a year. That's your income. And you decide you want to go to $200,000 a year. Well, all you got to do is figure out the directions, just like driving to your house, figure out all the twists and turns in the road, the things you have to do. And at first, you're going to have to concentrate on those directions, just the same way you had to concentrate on the directions the first time you went to that house. You'll have to concentrate on the directions to making that $200,000, whatever it is, whether it's building a business or a sales career, whatever it is. But eventually, the directions to that $200,000 will go from your conscious mind to where? Yeah, the subconscious mind, and then it becomes second nature. We create the habit, right? Same thing with anything in your life. Let's say I weigh 250 pounds and I want to go to 200 pounds. Are there specific directions I would need to follow to go to 200 pounds? Of course there are. Certain, eating habits and workout habits. Now, at first, I'm going to have to really focus on following the directions to 200 pounds. I'm going to have to focus on eating the salad instead of the cheeseburger. I'm going to have to remind myself to go to the gym. But if I continue doing that, then what happens over time is it becomes second nature, and eventually I begin to automatically reach for the salad. I begin to automatically go to the gym on the way home from work. You see, it's about developing habits and then turning it over to your subconscious mind to drive those behaviors. There was a very famous study that John Asheroff talked about in his book, The Answer. It was about these astronauts that they did this study with. They put them in this mock-up spacecraft, and they put goggles on them that turned their vision upside down. And they had to wear these goggles 24/7 and learn how to operate the spacecraft, the mock-up spacecraft. It wasn't a real spacecraft, but they had to learn how to operate it from this perspective of everything being upside down. Well, after about 25 days, one of the researchers, or one of the astronauts, goes to the researchers and says, hey, there's a problem here. My vision has corrected itself. They said, well, that's impossible. You have the goggles on. He goes, no, everything's right side up. Within a few days, every astronaut in the study experienced the same phenomenon. Their vision was corrected. And what they begin to learn, the researchers, as they begin to study, they realize it takes the brain about 25 to 30 days to carve new neural pathways to change the vision, to correct things, right? That's why it takes about 25 to 30 days for something to become a habit. It takes the brain a little while to carve the new neural pathways. You see, your brain is not hard like a rock. We call it neuroplasticity, right? Your brain is flexible. And so you can carve new neural pathways and develop new habits, new thought processes, new expectations, that type of thing. Have you ever seen a little kid who's living in a house where 2 languages are spoken? They learn both languages very easily. I've got a friend of mine, his wife is Russian. They have a 4-year-old daughter, and she speaks the Russian with mom, and she speaks, English with dad. She can read in both, right? Never had to teach her. It just happens automatically because the brain is so soft when we're young that these new neural pathways can carve very quickly. Try learning Russian when you're 50, right? It's a difficult process because the brain, as we age, it just gets hard. That's why we call people hard-headed, right? Because change is difficult. The reality is the key to this thing is to figure out where you are in your life, where you want to go, what are the directions, and then you got to make those directions habitual. You got to make those directions second nature. And it takes time, about 25 to 30 days of trying on this new way of life until these things become habitual and second nature. So that's the power of the subconscious mind. You can figure out where you are, where you want to go, what do you have to do to get there, and then you have to program those things through repetition to become second nature. Now, as we get into this program, I'm going to teach you some very simple techniques to do that. Again, it's a very simple process, right? As I often say, it's very easy to do these things. It's just a little bit easier not to do them, right? So we got to make sure we're doing the things that are going to breed the success and the experience and the prosperity that we want in our life.